Just from your perspective, how have you sort of found this year for you?
This year it's been a very busy year, so I've got lots of opportunities to play at lots of different levels, so like NAB League, community footy, and then playing a couple of VFLW games, and also Allies and Academy. So I guess like considering all that, it's been like an awesome opportunity, but it's also been very busy, just like flying in and out a lot of years, weekends. But yeah, so it's been pretty cool, but also had a few ups and downs with how like having teams being successful and then also probably being on the bad end of a couple of losses too.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. So you came from Tassie where I think at the start of the season you're kicking quite a few goals.
Yeah.
Then you went into Allies and obviously sort of struggled as a forward. What was that like, sort of getting into that new setup and then having to deal with that?
Yeah, it can be hard, but I guess I was just really fortunate for the opportunity being there with like people from around the country, like girls from Sydney and NT, and I guess it was a bit of a struggle because the ball didn't come down forward 50 a lot, so I kind of just had to adapt a bit and try and push up the ground a bit more and just try and continue working hard even though the ball might not be coming down and not really getting those opportunities to get the footy, but just trying to like adapt and still trying to like make the most of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And then obviously returning to the Devils in the end of the season, you seem to sort of be playing a bit higher up. Like you seem to get a lot more up the ground. I noticed, for example, against Dandenong, when you're playing on Gemma Ramsdale, you sort of almost try and work them over a bit. Like you try and get up. Like, is that something that you try and do if it's not really coming down to you at stage, you try and get up the ground and have an influence that way?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I like to work hard, and I feel like if I'm just in the forward 50 and it's not coming down, I'm just think, what can I do? And I guess like because my work rate is often a strength of mine, so I feel like if I work up hard and trying to like have an impact or present leads, then that will help the ball come down and help my team out. So yeah, I try doing that.
Yeah, and then obviously you like for I guess a taller forward, you sort of provide that extra defensive pressure a bit more than most would. Is that something that you kind of try and do with yourself, present that sort of point of difference between the tackling pressure and the work rate up the ground?
I think so, yeah. I guess through junior footy, I probably played more through the midfield and ruck, so I guess that was natural being more defensive through that, so I kind of just bring that into my game as a forward. And I also, I love competing, so when the ball's there or when there's people there, I love bringing that tackle pressure or that defensive pressure to win the ball back, and yeah.
And for yourself, obviously, you're probably maybe a few centimetres shorter than your typical key forward. What do you sort of see your role at AFLW level?
Well, I feel like I continue presenting because I feel like one of my strengths is probably my aerial ability. Even when I'm not the tallest in the contest, I can make good contest out of that and just compete. But then I feel like I also have that ability to, when it gets on ground level, to still be in the contest and still bring the ball down and compete and bring that tackle pressure as well. Yeah.
And is there a player at AFLW level you sort of look up to or compare yourself to?
Yeah, probably Kate Hoare, just how she's a great aerial player, but then also brings the pressure down low and competes on ground and works out up and down the ground too.
Yeah, awesome. And then coming into the combine, what sort of expectations do you set for yourself? What do you really want to sort of achieve out of it?
Well, I've been working on my sprinting work, so I'm hopefully just try and build on that, and I'd love to see some improvements from my sprint testing at the start of the year, just to a bit of an indication of the work that's been put in, but I know that's still something I'm still continuing to develop. Yeah, just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So in terms of your improvements, obviously you mentioned it's sort of there, the speed and whatnot. Is there what else have you sort of been working on?
Probably my ground balls, just being a bit cleaner off the deck, and also just still some room for improvement and using my left side of the body just to have a bit more option when I'm trying to come out and just put it on the left boot instead of turning onto my right side.
Yeah, awesome. And so, I mean, obviously you're pretty clean in the air. Is that how did you sort of try and learn, I guess, adapting from being in the air and being able to sort of clunk anything to getting it off the deck? What is it, I guess, you try and apply to yourself to improve there?
Well, I guess, the fundamentals is pretty similar because you're just, trying to keep your eye on the ball, and then, I guess, I don't know, just focusing on training, focusing on getting that proper technique, absorbing in everything the coaches say, and then just focusing on that, and then if I'm focusing on the right areas, then that's gonna, like, I'm gonna see the improvements come through.
Awesome. So in terms of your club you support?
Yeah.
At AFLW or AFL level?
I barrack for Melbourne Demons.
In both?
More so in the AFL. I'm probably a bit more neutral in AFLW, but yeah.
Just to support everyone kind of thing? Players,
it's pretty cool, like, watching girls that I've played alongside in the previous, like, for Devils and stuff, and just, like, also support them. So, yeah.
Well, they've sort of spread across the country, really.
They are. So yeah.
Is that something you've sort of given a thought to with your nomination? Like, obviously, you're going to have to move, unlike some others. So, have you really thought potentially what state you'd look at?
Well, I'm pretty open to most places at the moment, because I know that in reality, being from Tassie, you're going to have to move. And I know that wherever I'm moving, I guess it's only a plane trip away. So, yeah, just whatever presents the best opportunity, I'm willing to move there.
Yeah, awesome. And then just in terms of, like, I guess the combine, like clubs interviewing you and things like that, like, what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. At first, I didn't really know what to expect, so it was a bit daunting, but I guess just as I've had more and just experiencing, like, the interviews and stuff, I feel like I've grown a bit more confident in that, and because I know what to expect and how to, like, present myself. Yeah.
Awesome. And then just finally from here on, what's the sort of plan to get into pre-season and things like that? What are you working on kind of doing at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment we've kind of just came off the back of the season, so probably tail it down for a couple of weeks, but then ramp it up, because I'm really keen to get into pre-season and get to the gym and running. Yeah.